For the last 2 months, I've been eating meat and butter only. And by meat I mean muscle and organs. That's important in case you ever try it. And my conclusion is that it's about impossible to gain fat eating this way. And I'll explain to you why. I specifically mean fat and not weight, because it's very possible to gain weight by increasing your lean body mass. Because if you will eat muscle, you will gain muscle. It makes sense. People who eat raw meat report that even though they don't do any kinds of sports, their muscles are more toned. So protein is pretty well understood nowadays, whereas carbohydrates and fat are still not really understood, even though there's some kind of awareness going on for the last few years. In August I was eating 1 kilogram of meat a day and a whole stick of butter, which is about 250 grams. In September I ate 1.2 kilograms at least, plus the butter. I try to overeat on purpose. That means eating when you're already full. And when you eat fat, you're very satiated. It's hard to actually eat. So I pushed myself just to experiment and to find out the obvious, because theoretically I already understood that it's not going to work. That means eating a steak with butter before going to bed, for example. The result of this experiment is that my body fat got reduced and my lean body mass increased. And my weight is stable. It's been like that for months. And it's not something I'm trying to change anyway. It just happens so when you eat this way. I go to the gym in the morning right after I wake up in a fasted state, and that explains the loss of body fat, because it's possible to maintain the same weight, meaning fat also, when eating this way, but there's not enough energy from fat circulating in the body in the morning to actually use for a full workout, except if it's not very intense. But most likely there wouldn't be, so you would actually use your own body fat. It happens slowly but surely. It happens. This is great news for people who want to lose fat, because the only way I could imagine anybody gaining fat this way is if they would sleep all day and somebody would bring them their food. Whereas for people who want to gain weight, it's a different story. Gaining weight is of course not a problem nowadays. People are concerned with the opposite. Whereas in nature, if you would get lean over the winter, which is very possible or would be, then in summer you would eat a lot of fruit and gain weight. So people in Lapland would get buckets of berries and eat them, and that's natural, that's normal. I've been in ketosis for quite a while because my body needs more healing. So even in summer, plants store energy as sugar. Sugar and starch, but sugar and starch is the same because starch breaks down as sugar in the body. Whereas animals, we store energy as fat. It's really quite different. Gaining weight or losing weight, the cycle of weight is generally hormonal. That means fat and lean body mass, everything. And hormones are bacterial, so really it's bacterial. Plus it also depends what kind of bacteria populate your body. This will also determine how easy you gain or lose fat and muscle, so weight in general. If you eat fat, there's no actual mechanism to store the fat. You cannot do it. Your body is not able to, because the gates are closed, so to speak. To open the gates, you will need growth hormones that signal your body to make more cells and to grow, such as insulin. Insulin opens these gates. Protein will open them, let's just say halfway, which is not efficient enough. I'm proof. Whereas carbohydrates will open them very wide and it will let it all in. And as I said, in nature, this is a fantastic mechanism. Nowadays, so for example, if I would have replaced the 100 grams of fat I was eating to get the same amount of calories, which is a joke, but let's just talk about that, I would have had to eat 700 grams of rice to get the same amount of calories in carbohydrates and protein, which would have raised a lot of insulin, and I'm sure that I would have gained fat that way. So this is why calories is such nonsense. Really, who actually still believes it? Calories in and calories out. That makes no difference. It's all hormonal. You can eat as much fat as you want. You're just not going to get fat. It's not possible. Whereas if you would combine fat with carbohydrates or only overeat on carbohydrates and turn the sugar into fat, that would be really quite easy for most people, except if you have some weird genetic error in your body or something, which is rare. That's how humans have always done it. Just a few last words. I was also reading about this guy who ate 7,000 calories a day on a ketogenic diet, and he still lost weight. I'm not sure if muscle and fat or whatever, but that just goes to show you. And actually calculated the calories I was eating myself, and it was 80% fat and 20% protein. Of course, there's trace amounts of carbohydrates everywhere, and that's normal. Nothing wrong with it. But people who want to lose weight, just stop opening the gates and you will lose the weight with no problem. By no problem, I mean no problem. It's really not hard at all if you don't overeat on carbohydrates. Even if you eat a low carbohydrate diet, it's still very easy. Try to eat the so-called zero carb and it will come off without even trying. I guarantee it.